Io vivat nostrorum sanitas, Domine in popolo, ium recreatur Deo, io vivat nostrorum sanitas. Io vivat nostrorum sanitas. Nos iundita amicitia, et vinum prebet Gaudia. Io vivat nostrorum sanitas.
Welcome. A warm welcome to you all, board members, staff members, advisory council members, students, and everyone else present here or watching via the live stream. I'd like to welcome especially our guest speakers, Dick Wenschop and Danny Mekic, and also the performers Rob Litze and Sanne Malland. My name is Khadija, and I stand here to represent the student committee that helped to organize this ceremony. In order to create today's program, ideas were brought together and visions were joined, and this all led to a program created around the theme Appetite for Ambition. We all have our ambitions, whether we are students or professors. Some we have in common, some are very different, and some may change over time. All of today's speakers are experts in following their ambitions. They did not wait until their ambitions were achieved. No, they worked hard to achieve them. They saw opportunities and they took chances. So I hope their stories will inspire you. Also, let TU Eindhoven inspire you in this new academic year. Our university is a place where both ambitions and opportunities stand central. That is why I like to invite our Rector Magnificus, Professor Hans van Duin, to share his view on ambition and also give some more insight in the program. Please welcome.
Thank you, Kadisha, for your kind words. You did very well. Ladies and gentlemen, dear colleagues over here, and of course dear students, grote vrienden en vriendinnen van me, zeggen we dan. Welcome to the opening ceremony for the new academic year at Eindhoven University of Technology. As you may have noticed outside, the redevelopment of our campus is progressing well. The hills of sand we had to pick our way through last year have given way to a pool. The pool is back. When I was a student there was a pool, then 30 years the pool was gone and now the thing is back. There are paths and there is greenery. And here inside, in our auditorium, is again as crowded as ever. And that's super. It's good to see so many of you here today. Which brings me directly to some great news. Last year I could announce a substantial increase in our student population. This academic year, right now, we can even boost a bigger intake. Welcome to all 2,200 new students on campus. For us in Eindhoven, that is a gigantic number. And these students are not just white boys from the southeast of the Netherlands met een zachte G. The number of female and international students is increasing as well. So our community is becoming more diverse, and that's great news as well. Let me extend a special welcome to the student committee that organized this gathering and tonight's party, not to forget. They came up with the theme, Appetite for Ambition. How do you get the best out of yourself and how do you keep it all exciting and meaningful? Ladies and gentlemen, who better to answer such questions for us than Dick Benschop, President of Shell Netherlands and former Secretary of State of Foreign European Affairs. He is here today to hold up a mirror to us from a business point of view. Dick, we really appreciate that you are with us here this afternoon and we look forward to your presentation. Actually, it is very appropriate that you are here. Like Shell, this university does a lot of energy research. We have an energy institute with over 350 researchers. And several of our professors have a background, made a career at Shell. Or they still do. So it's great to have you here. I would also like to give a warm welcome to another speaker, Danny Mekic. Danny is an entrepreneur, an internet expert and a highly wanted speaker on issues like entrepreneurship, education, youth, technology, media and communication. Danny's career is quite unusual and very successful. We hope, Danny, that you are going to share some of your secrets with us this afternoon. Tell us about your appetite for ambition. Appetite for ambition. I'm really pleased the students came up with this theme because it is an optimistic statement. And optimism is what we need these days. When you have appetite for ambition, you believe in the future and you are ready to take your future in your own hands. Ambition is also tough. It means making choices. There are things that need to be sacrificed. You have to stay focused on what you want to achieve and on the results and resources you will have to use. But in the end, it reflects an optimism. I myself always have had appetite for ambition. I was an ambitious student when I studied physics here in Eindhoven in the 70s, the previous century. Sounds a long time ago, and it is a long time ago. And I was not per se ambitious to be the best in class, to get high grades, but I was ambitious to understand the physical phenomena and the theories. And when you have such ambition, you become, by the way, automatically the best in class. But that was not my motivation. I come from a family where higher education was not an obvious choice. So for me it was a way to create more opportunities to take my future in my own hands. And I observed that what I like most about physics is the way one can capture it in formulas and equations. For instance, take quantum mechanics or fluid mechanics with all these beautiful differential equations. Dat is pas echt smullen. Having appetite for ambition, I decided to change my field and do my doctorate in mathematics. And in the end I became an applied mathematician with a background in physics. Ladies and gentlemen, believe me, that's the best of two worlds. This university too has appetite for ambition. This university too is in an optimistic mood. Look at our bachelor college, the graduate school, the concept of engineering education that we developed, the flourishing relation with industry, and the successes in personal grants. There is too much to mention. And finally, our students. Do they have appetite for ambition? You betcha. I have a couple of videos for you on that subject with students and a graduate student. Let's listen to what they have to say.
Mogelijk en dan, ja, ik ben wel een beetje streverig.
I do sports and I do it at a high level, so I want to win. That's the whole egocentric things of sportsmen.
When I was 10 years old, I won a competition on the marimba, and that gave me such a boost to continue playing on the instrument.
I really liked technology, so I was looking for a job in technology, but I didn't know exactly yet which path I would follow, and Shell is so big that there are still several options possible, and I really liked that variety of choices later on. Also the international character, in a big company, being able to go abroad and really live and work in another country was something that really appealed to me.
Dit jaar ben ik ook begonnen als onderwijscommissaris.
I actually thought about going to Conservatorium a lot, but there's not a high chance you'll get a job in the music world, so I chose security over maybe my most passionate thing in my life.
Maar nu kan ik nog sporten en het bestuur. Terwijl, ja, over een tijdje weet je niet of dat nog wel.
I'm now doing industrial engineering and I really like it a lot.
I was curious about what life abroad would mean, and therefore had to balance that choice.
Ja, het ging best wel snel. Mijn studie zo voorbij. En ik vond het wel heel snel gaan. Ik wist ook niet precies wat ik wilde. En het is wel een manier om echt alles uit je studententijd te halen, alles mee te maken.
The first 2 years was just waiting till someone else had a plan, and my third and fourth year and later on I really chose to be active in it and not passive hanging around, and actively making my own plans and trying to see what could happen if my plans were executed well.
Such great students, ladies and gentlemen, you are looking at a very proud rector. Last Saturday, Lisa and her team attained in Korea, in South Korea, the 4th place in the World Championship rowing. It was a very exciting match. I mean, they started very slow, but they ended up on the 4th place, so that was really a fantastic achievement. As we also heard Lisa say, you need to actively make choices. And that's what all these people in the video did. Also about their study. And that brings me to the education we offer here. After all, this is the opening of the academic year. A university exists because of its students. No students, no university. That's a trivial though important statement. Educating engineers, designers and researchers is our primary task. The students, whether they are bachelor students, masters, technological designers or PhDs, the students always come first. This implies that our educational system has to be first class. the lecturers, the facilities, and the organization. Here too, appetite for ambition, nothing but the best is the motto. To achieve it, we work along three main lines of action. The first is our bachelor college that we launched last year. I don't want to say much about it because I did so last year. We ran into points that definitely have to be improved, but overall it is progressing nicely. And the concept behind it attracts more and more diverse students than before. The second is the IKT, the Instellingskwaliteitstoets. And let me try to explain you what that is without getting a heart attack. We are going to be assessed this fall, that is within a couple of months, in fact 6 weeks. Like the other Dutch universities, we are due to a quality inspection. A visitation committee is coming to review how we assure the quality of our education. How is it organized and are we in control? If we pass, if we naturally expect to do, the ministry will grant us additional freedom. It's very important, therefore, that this goes well. As a well-respected university, we simply cannot afford ourselves to fail. But the inspection requires a lot of work on our part, and many people are deeply involved. But it's important to show that we can live up to our ambition. The point here is that our organization inside is an organization of high trust. But the outside world is a world of very much low trust. And so we have to solve that problem. That was number 2. Number 3 line of action is the graduate school. This spring, the keuzegids for the masters, the Dutch Guide to Masters programs, rated us the best university of technology for the 3rd successive year. That's good, that is very good, that makes us proud, but we are going to do even better in the future. At TU Eindhoven, we are developing a graduate school as home to all our post-bachelor education. That means all our masters, technological designers programs and doctoral courses are part of it. We want the graduate school to create the same kind of atmosphere as the bachelor college with a similar philosophy. That is, we don't train people here to become one particular type of engineer, but there are many options, several types, with a variety of profiles depending on the interest and talent of the individual student. Do you want to graduate as a hardcore mechanical engineer? That's fine. Do you want to combine physics and computer science, or electrical engineering and entrepreneurial skills? That's fine as well. In the graduate school, we view our master students as young professionals who will choose their own independent path among all the possibilities. It is important that we give them an academic education and that we create an Eindhoven community. And that we equip our students with appropriate professional skills. Hence, much will be possible in our future educational system. At the same time, there will be other things you can't do. And our next video focuses on how you might deal with that. Let's take a look.
Moments where you're stuck.
A question I often get is, hey Marjan, you've worked a few years part-time and then most of your career you worked full-time and you traveled the world. What did you have to sacrifice to actually get this kind of career? And I find that a difficult question because you only know the life that you lived and you don't know the alternative.
Sinds dit jaar heb ik een 3-wiel lichtfiets. Vond ik echt heel erg, want dan kan, mensen kunnen toch wel zien als ik loop dat dat niet normaal is. Maar dat was nog een bevestiging en dat, ja.
Making music also costs a lot of time, but I think if you really want it, you can combine everything in your life.
You have to choose, and this is my choice for now.
Living as a family abroad, we were of course afraid before we went that we wouldn't see our family that often and that it would be difficult to maintain our friendships from Holland.
You can't just go to Amsterdam, you can't just go to a festival, or you can't stay longer at a party because you like it so much.
En ze weten niet hoe snel het achteruit gaat.
I think I'm now at the point in my career where I need to actually be more active in shaping that career.
Because I play so much music, I can't do sport as much as I like to.
I couldn't be there, so that's things I really do miss.
I have to travel a lot and spend a lot of time. I have to spend a lot of time in my study, but making music also costs a lot of time.
Kan ik alles doen wat ik wil? Nou, het liefst zou ik nog veel meer willen. Maar daar heb ik toch geen tijd voor.
The honesty and drive of Marieke van Driel, we can learn a lot from that, I think. Ambition is not just about glitz and glamour. It means keeping a close eye on your situation and your opportunities and making the most out of them. And you can't be great at everything. That goes for us as a university too. We need to be selective in order to excel. Having appetite for ambition implies being selective in topics, in people and in partners. Ladies and gentlemen, due to budget cuts of the government, the 3 technical universities are losing about 1,000, 10 to the power 3, 1,000 research positions. Here in Eindhoven we expect to have 250 PhD positions less in the coming years. Think of the enormous reduction in research volume. It's disastrous and it's unacceptable. However, ieder nadeel heeft zijn voordeel. Together with industrial partners, TU Eindhoven launched the so-called Impulse program. In this program we have made funds available in the first round for 125 PhD positions to be employed mainly in high-tech systems and materials. 30 of them have been taken on by 2 flagship programs that run between Philips and TUE. Another program runs between ASML and this university. So a side effect of the political change is that we are now closer to industry and also that we are currently rethinking the models for cooperation. And that is also necessary. I just mentioned Philips and ASML, but I'm happy to announce here publicly, in particular in the presence of Dick Benschop, that TU Eindhoven is consolidating its links with Shell as well. Ladies and gentlemen, Shell and TU Eindhoven are going to sign an agreement for cooperation that puts us in the same league as TU Delft and MIT. And I'm sure this will boost joint research in areas such as future fuels, combustion, separation technology and chemistry. We were definitely disappointed by the decision of ASML to move part of their fundamental research to Amsterdam, but I'm extremely proud and happy that Shell is marching in. Let us go back to our current and former students and listen to what they want to achieve.
Sometimes it works and sometimes it doesn't. But my friends do understand, of course, and they really like that it's going so well for me.
Ja, hoe ziet de toekomst eruit? Als je vanuit mijn ziekte kijkt, iets rooskleurig.
The coming years will be focused on the Olympics, the cycle I just went in, the 2016 cycle up until Rio.
First I thought maybe not, maybe I won't do it, but then after thinking it through and some encouragement also of family and friends, I took that opportunity and it was the best thing we ever did.
Toen ik ging studeren wist ik niet of ik mijn hele bachelor zou kunnen lopen. Uiteindelijk ben ik al 4e jaar en ik loop nog steeds, dus in dat opzicht.
I think if you really want it, you can combine everything in your life.
When you look back and think, well, in a corporate setting, your team has a success and you're part of it, and that makes it even more special. Yes.
En tv kijken kan ik nog mijn hele leven, ook als ik niet zo goed kan lopen. Net zoals boeken lezen, dat kan later ook nog, dus ja.
There's only one way to find out, and that's by doing it. So I don't regret that decision at all.
It's just a short vision with a long time ambition.
Ja, ik weet niet zo goed of werk vinden voor mij later makkelijk is, maar als ik mijn studie goed doe, heb ik meer kans om toch een baan te vinden.
Well, I think it's worth it because else I would have stopped a couple of years ago.
But I also want to keep moving on in music. I want to keep entertaining people with my music, which I hope they enjoy a lot.
The more you do that, so the more you push yourself out of your comfort zone and you go for these these unknowns, the more you experience life, and I think that was a really good part of our life.
Great stories by these people, these students and the alumni. Okay, it's now your turn. Dear students, I'm looking at you. It's time for you all to get down to work. Our new curriculum offers you a lot of choices, a lot of possibilities. But what are you going to do? Think about that carefully. Will you stick to the existing paths or will you create new ones for your own? Like I said before, if you're majoring in physics, you could take ICT as elective. Some industries are crying out for that kind of combination. So make yourself valuable, seize the opportunities before you and make choices. Think about where your ambition lies, not just with your head, but also with your heart. Ladies and gentlemen, dear colleagues, I'm now looking at that section. Also grote vrienden en vriendinnen, dat zijn jullie ook. This is going to be a particularly challenging year for all of us. And it isn't just our students who need to show ambition, the same goes for us, for you and for me. A lot of work still has to be done to further develop our successful bachelor college and graduate school. And not to forget the accreditation of the university in October. We need to work on new models for industrial cooperation. Are we indeed going to set up a high-tech systems institute and a center for big data? Many ideas, many wishes, appetite for ambition, but also limited resources. All this will demand a huge amount of energy. Let's make this an inspiring year together. And for you students, meanwhile, there are all sorts of activities. We have honors classes for talented students, and later on I will show you a spectacular example of what a group of honors students from Eindhoven University have achieved. So there are honors classes and there is Studium Generale, which has another marvelous program this year. It's the best in the Netherlands. The speakers they have lined up are truly inspiring, so it's highly recommended to all of you. It will be up to each of you to achieve part of your ambition. We will do everything we can to help. Use the opportunities you find here. Studying, researching, socializing in Eindhoven will all feed your ambition for appetite. Your appetite for ambition, excuse me. Let's make this a great year together. Thank you very much.
Thank you, Professor Van Duin, for those recollections and for the prospects for the new academic year. I also would like to thank the students and the alumni in the videos that shared they shared so honestly their ambitions. Ambitions can be minor and very personal, but they can also be so major they could affect all of humanity. Those ambitions do not necessarily come from just one person. No, also organizations have a lot of ambitions and like to share them with us whenever they can. Just do it. Think different. Challenge everything. Just a few slogans that leave no doubt the organizations behind them are full of ambitions. But what do you think about the following ambition slogan? Waar u stopt, gaan wij verder. Or, translated in English, where you will stop, we will go further. Maybe you already recognize this slogan? It is created by Shell. Well, I think a company with such a slogan has to have very ambitious leaders. And luckily, one of them is our next guest speaker. Ladies and gentlemen, please welcome Dick Benschop, the President Director of the Shell Netherlands.
Kadisha, thank you very much. Mr. Rector Magnificus, Hans van Duin, thank you very much for welcoming me. And it's a great honor to be here today at the opening of the academic year. Everybody full of expectations of what is going to become. Since I became President Director of Shell Netherlands, it was one of the privileges of that role to spend a lot of time in the academic world and with students as well. That reflects, of course, the importance for Shell of research and of cooperation with universities and knowledge institutions. And Hans van Duin memorized the extent to which the cooperation between Shell and the University of Eindhoven is going to be intensified. It also reflects the interest Shell has in students, always looking for talent and for the next generation of talent. Of course, being in a university, it always makes me think back to my days at the university, which was in Amsterdam at the Free University. It's a bit like Hans van Duin said, it scares me a bit to think about the year I started to study. I guess most of you were born in the early 90s, if I make the sums correctly. I started to study in 1976. As I said, at the Free University in Amsterdam. I spent 8 years at the Free University. I don't know whether that's still possible, or I don't think it's customary. Of course, I did a lot of stuff next to my study, student activities and things like that, but still. I think my primary driver for choosing what I did, and that was not just the study, but later on as well, was my interest. And it has been a rather broad interest. So I'm an historian, and I ended up in an international company. I think Marianne van Loon mentioned as well. And as a person, I became fascinated with technology and with innovation. That's one of the reasons why I feel at home in the company where I am. And between university and Shell, I spent a lot of time in politics as well. So there's my broad interest. Students often ask me about choices, and the rector referred to that as well, the choices you make. What to study fast or broaden your activities, where to aim for. For me, and that's still my advice today, is the basis of what you do is what interests you. I think we saw that in the videos as well. It's what drives you. It's what your passion is. But And I think that's something I've learned over time. You have to be sensible as well. You have to apply some common sense and a bit of reason as well. So that would be my first lesson of ambition. And I'm quoting the rector here. It needs your heart, but it needs your head as well. And it's the combination of the two. But it starts with your heart. Without passion and without interest, you're not going to do what you want. When I graduated after those 8 years in 1984, it was difficult to find a job. Probably not unlike now or the period we are looking ahead for. When I think of you and the period you live in now, the world you live in, I think it's a fascinating world. The world is at your feet. You can think on a global scale. When I started to study, and I was first generation in my family as well, the idea of studying abroad, and there are quite a few people here, of course, who have made that step, are studying here, or others here have studied abroad, or you might be considering it. I never thought of it when I went to university in the mid-70s. It was totally out of the question. That has changed. That is fascinating. But there's one but for it, for you. The reality of the world you live in is a very competitive world as well. When I studied, I almost could see my competitors on the labor market in the eye, and perhaps in two other classrooms in other universities in the Netherlands as well. You probably are directly or indirectly competing with the rest of the world of your age. And of course you're living here in the smartest part of the world. But I think in Beijing at Tsinghua campus or in Stanford in California, they are thinking the same as well. So it's a competitive world. I've been unemployed. And I learned later, looking back, that I've made myself unemployed 3 times in my life. And the first time was just after 8 months of work. I was a teacher. As a historian, that's something you do. And then I found it fascinating. And no offense here to the teaching world, but I thought it's not what I want to do the rest of my life. And then I thought I better force myself or bring myself in a position to follow that interest or that ambition, and I made myself unemployed. It lasted a year. After 9 months, I was totally fed up by being unemployed, and fortunately, after 12 months, I got my second job, my first job in politics, and I started to work in politics. At the end of politics, I did it again. I ran election campaigns, the guy became prime minister. I thought, okay, everything is done, I'm going to do something else, and I started my own business. And then, another time in 2002, 8 years later, after having been in government, as a politician myself for 4 years, fascinating experience of course, I lost, and we lost elections heavily. And I thought it's time to make a change again. And that's when I went on my way to Shell, and I thought, okay, I'm more credible as well if I'm not just a politician who's looking around for something else. So I better resign first, make myself unemployed, and then start to talk to the company and really try to make it happen there. So I did that 3 times. So my lesson for that is to realize my ambitions. I had to be bold, and not stupid. That's not the same. Bold. I had to be bold. That's what I thought. It sounds a bit like motivational. If you go for it, you will get it. I don't know how popular Paulo Coelho still is, but he said, when you want something, all the universe conspires in helping you to achieve it. I think we have to be a bit more humble than that. I've had luck. I think luck plays a role in your life. Misfortune plays a role as well. And it's not all of our own making. It's not all of our own making. But what does help is what he said, Coelho as well, is to conquer the fear of failure. To be able to lose as well. I think it was one of the best experiences that I had in politics, not just winning, which is fantastic, but losing as well, also on a personal level. It makes you a bit more humble. I think it makes you better if you're open for it as well. So what do we have for ambition? The heart, the head, be bold, be humble. But in today's world, the most important quality, I believe, is the ability, your ability to learn. And what you do here, of course, at the university is part of that learning. But learning is much broader. It's a mindset. It's a habitude. And in this highly connected, highly competitive world as well, to be able to adapt, to learn, to broaden your experience is essential. And that will feed your intuition. I've been in Shell for 10 years now, and it has been a very gratifying experience for me. And a big reason for that is that when the company is at its best, and of course it's not always, but when it's at its best, it's a learning company. It always tries to understand from the successes we had, also from the failures we had, what is it that caused it. And that's very personal, especially if something went wrong. You're not going to start finger pointing, you're not going to start blame people, you start with yourself. So what was my contribution to what went wrong? Where did I sit? What did I do? And then you invite others to join as well. And partly you probably can see that in contrast to politics, where the whole element of finger pointing, of trying to bring people down, of whatever, is so dominant and probably becoming more dominant over time as well. This element of being in a learning environment, which is explicitly wanting to learn in order to be able to develop and to stay ahead, I found very interesting. Personal ambition, your career goals. I don't think it's just a matter of personal ambition. And I'm sure you and many of the students I meet are also full of broader ambitions, societal ambitions as well. And you're very engaged with and very interesting in tackling the big challenges the world is facing. And that's a link with the topic of energy as well, which is one of the big challenges the world is facing. If there's one way of looking at energy which I like, it's a picture that NASA has made. I don't know whether you've ever seen it. Earth at Night, it's called. It shows the Earth at night with lights where there is light at night. Took me a while to realize that it's never night at Earth everywhere at the same time, but still it's a very convincing picture. Because light appears where people live, and it's a sign of social and economic development, of progress. More light means higher living standards, people living longer, where babies have a better chance in life. In a way, that picture tells the moral story of energy. We don't often look at it this way, but energy has a moral story about the hundreds and millions of people who have the opportunity to rise out of poverty in the emerging economies. Access to energy is projected to improve. And by 2030 and by 2050, a far larger proportion of the then world's 9 billion people will have access to modern cooking, electricity, light, being able to read at night, to study, a washing machine, a refrigerator, a computer, a car, a first of everything. So that's a story of global demand, of rising demand for energy. And that brings us in two races at the same time. It's never easy. We are in a race against poverty worldwide, with population increasing and the fight against poverty. And a race against climate change and the consequences of the use of energy at the same time. And that's the real challenge, a twin challenge of development and environment. It's probably fair to say that over the last decade we have been better in the race against poverty, doing on development, than we have done on climate change. So can emerging countries pursue a pathway that's less resource, less carbon intensive than that of the US and of Europe? For that we have to look at energy as a system. And we would love to see the energy system develop and change as quickly as the ICT systems do. Unfortunately, that is not the case. And the energy system is a very huge capital system. There's an investment challenge, enormous amounts of money needed to further build it and to make the transition. But apart from money, there's also the element of time pressure. It's hard to achieve an overnight transformation in energy. One example, wind energy, you would say it's common now. but it's not common. It has gone through rapid exponential growth over 30 years to reach 1% of total primary energy in the world, 30 years after the first parks were built in Denmark and the US. So can we speed up innovation? And how do we speed up innovation? And we are learning as well that if we look at energy, we cannot look at energy in isolation. We have to look at other topics like food, like water, and the stress nexus between the three resources, because demand for all resources will rise, and you need water to produce energy, which produces water as well. You need energy to treat and transport water. You need both water and energy to grow food. So you can't consider them in isolation, and that's where concepts of resilience, for example, come in, and you start to broaden energy efficiency into resource efficiency. And there are examples there, but it's still examples. But there's a new way of thinking and a way of working developing. One interesting example we have for Shell in the Netherlands is a small company which is able to produce concrete, which is a highly CO2 intense product, from sulfur, in a way where you produce less CO2, much less CO2. So you go from a byproduct to a much less CO2 intense form of concrete, and that is recyclable again. It doesn't get much better than that, and that's a company here in the Netherlands. But the challenge is big. Read the reports from the International Energy Agency. This time pressure in this race is a very relevant one. Even with maximum investment levels on growth in renewables, we are not going fast enough in order to get to a 2-degree scenario. That's why you need to combine what we say green and clean technologies. Yes, to renewables, but also low carbon technologies like gas-fired power generation, which replaces coal-fired power generation. It's this clean and green scenario. And not all of the policies in the world, let alone in Europe, are working in that direction. So the challenge is always, it's about us, it's about the technology, it's about innovation, it's about capital, but it's also about politics, it's about frameworks. Are they all coming together? Are they working into the right directions? And Europe is a nightmare at the moment. We're in a coal plus renewable scenarios in Europe. That's the pathway we are pursuing, where we are not leading towards the world in a way that we would like to. And we have to reform there. Back to innovation. We have to innovate more, we have to innovate faster. There's exciting developments in innovation at Shell. And somebody from Philips probably could talk about it in similar terms. Open innovation, that's one thing you will hear about and hear more about. That means that also big companies, very big companies, want to work together in partnerships much more. Because we need to be faster, we need to be more open, we need to be more creative. We want to be part of bigger ecosystems of innovation with diverse participants. Universities, of course, and Eindhoven is a point in case with a new agreement between Shell and Eindhoven. We work together in new energy, in sulfur, in chemistry, catalysis, automotive. You will see unusual partnerships as well, which makes it very interesting. Energy is different from ICT, but big data are coming into the energy world as well, from exploration to smart grids. So you see cooperation between Shell and IBM and other companies in big data. And then DreamWorks in California, for example, helping us to visualize exploration data in a different way. So unusual partnerships, open innovation, it's very interesting. Another thing that is happening, and you see that happening in other companies as well, that big companies are opening up towards startups, towards venture capital, with new technology venture funds, for example, to try to combine the best of both worlds. The entrepreneurial world of the startups, and at the same time the ability of big companies to sustain a level of research and development, bring projects and pilot projects through the valley of death. So there's a lot happening in the world of innovation in big companies like Shell and others. So I very much believe, and I'm an optimist as well, that we live in exciting times. There's at least two races, the ones against poverty and the ones against climate change. And there's other challenges like demographic challenges happening. So we need you to realize your ambitions, your personal ambition, your career goals, and your societal ambition. And we need you to combine those two, the personal and the societal, because it's your generation who will be leading the world towards 2050, that we all talk about as the horizon. And we have to be as good as we think we are, even better. We have to be as good as we dream we are. Thank you very much.
Thank you, Mr. Benschop, for being here today and sharing this innovative speech with us, and also sharing your experience and advices. And now, instead of the musical intermezzo by Louise Korthals, as announced in the invitations, there will be another, but still musical intermezzo. Scala Productions, that you might certainly know for their student musicals in Eindhoven, for example the TUI Lustrum Productions, is now working on a bigger production. On February the 27th, the first national student musical will go in premiere in the Parktheater in Eindhoven. This will be followed by a tour to theaters and playhouses in cities all over our country, for example in Leiden and Utrecht. And that's not all. Every 2 years there will be another new production. A musical for and by students in the Netherlands, and it all started here in Eindhoven. So we are very proud to receive a preview of this first national student musical. Let's enjoy a wonderful solo and then followed by a duet by Salle Malland and Rob Ritze from the musical The Scarlet Pimpernel.
een landelijke studentenmusical echt een goed idee is.
Met creativiteit en muzikale uitingen.
Plezier, cultuur, wordt er allemaal in verenigd.
Nog wel net zoals in een parktheater, in een grote zaal, wat uitverkocht is.
Als je dat nog landelijk aanpakt, krijg je ook nog deelnemers van allerlei verschillende disciplines, van allerlei verschillende universiteiten. Nou, ik vind dat een fantastische mogelijkheid om dat samen te onderzoeken, om samen elkaar daar te versterken, om samen vrienden te maken.
Het is artistiek, het is ook technisch, het is organisatorisch een uitdaging en dat komt allemaal bij elkaar.
Dat de studenten zich laten zien aan de rest van de bevolking.
Ik krijg er gewoon een kick van.
Doen.
Thank you, Rob Ritz and Sanne Malland, for this beautiful interlude. It sets high expectations and it's very promising for the rest of the musical that we can all enjoy next spring. When you start here as a student, it is clear what is expected from you. First, you will go for a positive study recommendation. After that, you will hope you will get your master's degree in an amount of time that is more or less acceptable for the government and of course for your parents. But every now and then someone chooses to leave this so well-defined path in order to follow different ambitions that could not be achieved in another way. Steve Jobs, Bill Gates, Mark Zuckerberg. They all were determined to achieve their ambitions and even left their educational institutions for it at some point in their lives. As you might know, this turned out pretty well for them. Our next guest speaker has also shown a great determination to achieve his ambitions. This turned also pretty well for him, because in 2009 he was chosen as most successful young entrepreneur. And besides that, he has his own internet company, he is a mediator, a consultant and a guest lecturer. Probably I forgot some positions here, but I will leave that to him. Please welcome Danny Makic.
Ladies, fortunately once again I see more of you than I saw last year through the live stream, and gentlemen, students and staff, thank you very much for your invitation. I want to thank you very much because I received it 6 months ago already, which goes to show the high ambitions and careful preparations for this very special day, showing in every facet of its organization. This calls for nothing less than my profound compliments. Appetite for Ambition is an excellent choice of subject, excellently chosen by the students of the organizing committee and the many more who have no doubt contributed to the formation of this team. An excellent choice, but also a tricky one. Both appetite and ambition are concepts that are subordinate to something else. You can't be ambitious without a goal, without some specific thing that you want to achieve. And only if you really want to achieve that goal, you will generate this insatiable appetite that keeps going on like a heartbeat. And it doesn't stop until the goal is achieved. But first you need to know what it is that you want to achieve. What do you want to achieve? And you can look for the answer to that question in the world around us. But it's not easy to find good goals to pursue in a world that changes so rapidly and that is becoming exponentially more complex, and meanwhile the prospects of increasing retirement ages and retreating governmental support put more pressure than ever on finding that goal. The many rapidly changing and more numerous options before us now often cause our grey matter to experience not decisiveness but option paralysis. And before you can embark on a quest like this, don't you really know yourself? And isn't discovering oneself what gives life meaning? In a labyrinth that keeps becoming more and more complex, a labyrinth with corridors that rearrange constantly, you can only expect to get lost. Maybe then we need to stop looking for our ambitions in the world outside and instead look for it within ourselves. Maybe what we need is a different take on today's subject. Maybe appetite for ambition should mean appetite for the sake of ambition. Maybe the ambition will come once you manage to spend your days on something you know you want to do, something you can work on with passion, and that has you go to bed not to end the day, but as a necessary break, to get some rest and do some thinking so you can pick up again tomorrow where you left off today. It never was my ambition to be an entrepreneur or to concern myself with technology every day, to become a teacher at the university or to get to advise CEOs and ministers. Everything I do and everything I've done up until now has been the result of 2 events in my life. They were that kind of event that can shape the rest of your life. Do you know what events have had that effect on you? One was in the 90s, during the Balkan Wars in former Yugoslavia. My father had been passionate about radio telecommunications from a very early age, and he had obtained a license for radio broadcasting. At the time we lived in a high-rise building in Amsterdam that was 4 stories tall, to which he had attached a 20-meter radio tower to enable him to communicate via the radio with colleague friends in Yugoslavia. We found out during this war this way that my grandfather had been imprisoned but was otherwise unharmed. Over the years we got countless families and Amnesty International representatives who all came to my father just to get in touch with that war-torn country. Week after week, month after month, for years on end. I saw just how important technology was to the lives of those people sitting in the living room of our small 3-room apartment while my father tried to find ways to contact their loved ones. I watched technology bring tears to their eyes and smile onto their faces. I was deeply impressed by how invaluable technology was to their lives. That impression would never wear off again. It really struck a chord on me, this interaction between technology and society. I wanted to get more involved with that. But like anyone who knows something interests him, that wasn't enough. You can't just turn something you think is fun into your goal. It takes more than just an interest to follow your ambitions about that subject. I've had a number of very emotional conversations with my grandfather about his time in captivity, and he taught me that there's only one question you need to be concerned about when it comes to ambition and pursuing happiness. How do you spend your time now? The other event happened when I was 12. I decided to take up voluntary work at Het, one of the first commercial internet providers in the Netherlands. Not with any goals or ambitions in mind, just following my curiosity and my appetite for more. Everyone thought I was crazy. Who wants to do unpaid work for a commercial company? But when it comes down to it, it wasn't really unpaid. It's true that I didn't get money for the work I did, but I did get to meet the best programmers, concept developers, graphic designers, communication specialists, copywriters and other internet specialists in the country. They told me about the ins and outs of their fields, and together we worked on one of the coolest media projects in the Netherlands, building the internet platform for the TV show Big Brother. They inspired me immensely, they shared their biggest secrets and tricks with me, and they let me do small assignments. That's how I got to familiarize myself with and become engaged with the field. And you wouldn't believe just how much I learned as a volunteer. I saw the intersection of technology and society come alive. Also, I discovered that money is a bad incentive for doing work. The best reason to do work is the work itself. The money you are paid to do the work should reflect the added value you contribute in economic ways, no more and no less. But it should not be the reason why you do what you do. Money is only a medium of exchange in the form of coins, banknotes and zeros and ones, but it has no value as such. This isn't about me though. My story only serves to illustrate the search for answers to the big questions that can help you bring your passion to life, that can help you discover what fascinates you and what ambitions in the future, what your ambitions will be. What makes you happy? What intrigues you? What subject, phenomenon or field do you want to spend your life working on? What thrills and inspires you so much that you might even dedicate the rest of your life to it? You can't answer these questions with conviction until you've seen enough of the world, until you've had the chance to become acquainted with various different subjects and to experience what it's like to be and work in various different environments. Maybe appetite for ambition does not start at setting goals. Maybe it's appetite that leads to finding your ambitions. Hopefully you'll come to think of university and better yet life in general as one gigantic candy store. And hopefully you'll come to think of your time as a student as an opportunity to browse around. The people you will meet in university, not just your fellow students, but also teachers, other academic and support staff, and even guests, can help you to feed your appetite and refine your ambitions. Listen to each other and take your time to give each other thorough and well-founded feedback. But we are naturally limited beings. We've all have been given particular features and capacities at birth and through our upbringing. And while on the corner of every street there's a gym that promises a better, healthier body, there's not much money to be made in running a brain gym, even if our brains too are definitely capable of learning so much more. And not just up until the age of 24, while your brains are still naturally developing, but long after that as well. If your memory, your thinking speed, your reading speed, your analytic skills, your general world knowledge, or your knowledge on very specific developments in the world, or a lack of any of those things, if any of that gets in the way of your ambitions, you don't have to just accept that. Their whole library is worth of information written on the subject of the ways our brains work, and it would be such a shame not to put any of that knowledge to good use. And there's another thing. On countless occasions, you'll run into limitations set by the systems we live in, the institutions. When something like that happens, don't be discouraged, but look for alternatives. When I was 17, I decided to drop out of high school in order to work on my expanding first company. When I was 20, I realized I had less and less energy for all the things I wanted to do, missed the externally imposed challenge and structuring that coming with being a student. I wanted to get back. However, the colloquium doctum exam, which is the entrance exam into university for people who haven't been to or finished high school, was only considered valid if you're 21 and up. I was 20. So I found out that rules are for the masses and exceptions are there for you. And besides the fact that actively developing your soft skills and trying to circumvent the limitations of the system is fun, and that it's satisfying when it works out, and that it will help you to realize your ambitions more quickly and with less effort, there's another reason why these things are important, and why they are more important now than they have ever been. I started out this speech with the observation that appetite for ambition is a tricky choice of subject, and that is not only a result of using two wonderful, profound words that relate to the future in complex ways. But it's also tricky because it's a very optimistic outlook in an age where the word crisis has been the trending topic in the media in recent years. Is it even a good idea to have hunger for ambition in a time that seems to be characterized by shortage, decline and political economic depression at all? The word crisis derives from the ancient Greek krino, meaning to decide or to judge, and was once a medical term describing the most grave stage of a disease, the stage that was determined whether the patient was going to live. A word that can be translated as turning point has been used for the past 7 years to describe the status quo. A crisis cannot last for 7 years. What's more in this middle of these economically hard times is that numerous new companies have started up that are doing remarkably well and have been doing well for a long time. Apple, Google, Facebook and YouTube. These are all companies that had people in their 20s at the wheel when they started up. People from your generation, dear students, people from the generation of your students, dear staff members. People from that generation who established technology-based organizations that have been doing remarkably well and continue to do well from the point of view of the eminence grise. And what's more, these are organizations that have managed to enter their market of bigger organizations, existing markets, and introduce new disruptive innovations and business models. They have been outdoing well-established older companies that have proved unable to adequately cater to the modern world, companies that cannot adapt quickly enough because of the complex, unwieldy structure of their system. They changed the rules of the game. Could it be that we've been through a turning point 7 years ago, and that in the years since we've been slowly transitioning into a new reality? And there's one company, and its founder in particular, that deserves our attention. I'm talking about Apple. Apple is a company that now has twice as much money in the bank as the American government does, and a company that has disrupted or reinvented the market for MP3 players, cell phones, computers, redesigned the music industry, the film industry, the market for literature, and the market for tablet PCs. It's a company that set a new standard for product packaging and has given new meaning to lean and mean marketing. The late Steve Jobs, who has unfortunately passed away now, has shown us that ambition starts with appetite. All his life he was curious, critical thinking person who had his own ideas about many things. The goals he strived for were always goals of the here and now, and all of those here and nows taken together are what made him one of the most ambitious entrepreneurs and engineers in the world, down to every last button on every Apple device ever developed. He also exemplified that it's more important than ever as an engineer to work together with experts from different fields, or better still, to gain knowledge and experience outside the technical field, which has now become easier than ever with the new curriculum offered by your university. Things like business models, marketing, entrepreneurship and law, all things that are tied to the craft of the engineer more inextricably than ever before. And even if you don't want to be an entrepreneur, if Instead of working for an innovative little speedboat, you will join one of the bulky oil tankers that don't change course very easily. Either way, you are indispensable in our transition into this new world, the next generation of engineers. What are you waiting for? It is now that engineering and technology play a more crucial role than ever. Not to supplement analog processes, not to replace analog processes, like replacing a paper file cabinet with a digital database. Not to communicate with, like entering a math problem and getting the answer. Not to communicate through, like cell phones or Facebook, but as the ultimate answer to a society that is becoming more complex than ever before, in which humankind has expanded from 1 to 7 billion people during the past 150 years, in which the language barrier is being melted with by means of glasses, with microphones and cameras, in which the demand for food will increase by 100%, in which the job market will present greater challenges, moving from unemployment to job shortage, and where government cuts and from our government aren't going to blow over for a long time. Population aging, growing challenges in the areas of healthcare and resource shortage, the list goes on. Society's issues are becoming more complex and their answers will become more complex too, while affecting more and more lives. We live in a time where you can be more valuable than ever, while simultaneously it's more challenging than ever to be so. You need more knowledge than ever, and it's becoming more important than ever not to let obstacles slow you down. Today is the day to rev up your engines, the day to populate the classrooms with an open mind and a head full of curiosity. What will you be doing? Will you do what's expected of you during your college years and after, or will you try to use your college years to their full potential? Will you go by the pre-existing escalator or build your own vehicle? Throughout life, there will be always two ways that lead to your goal. The first way is easy. It's flat, easy to travel, there will be many other people walking it, it will be well lit, and there will be signs saying, go this way. That's the way of the masses, which is fine. But the second way will be a dark road. Not many people will be traveling it, not much will be known about it, there will be no sign saying, go this way, and it will not show up on any map. Which way do you choose? It has been seven years since the crisis. Now it's time for us to work on creating the new world. The only way to do this will be the escape the masses sometimes and find your own way. Be creative, find new answers, innovate. Will it be easy? No, it will not be easy. Fear is a flawed remnant from our evolution, a relic from bygone times when we would hunt animals in the woods and serious danger could be looming anywhere and strike at any moment. Fear helped our great ancestors survive, and it helped to bring us where we are today. But that doesn't mean it's still as useful as it once was. Too often, our fears hold us back from attaining our ambitions, and sometimes other people that love you will make you worry too. Are you sure you want to start your company? Aren't you afraid of dropping out high school? Where will you get the money from at first? What about the risks? I've heard all of these questions. And yes, I was afraid. And no, I was not sure. And yes, there were and are great risks. And no, not everything went as planned. I didn't even have a plan for everything. When we experience fear and stressful feelings that keep us from attaining the things we aspire, a physical reaction is occurring in our body. Blood supply to your brain diminishes and instead goes to your legs and feet, preparing us for a quick getaway, while at the same time reducing thoughts that might prevent us from running away from whatever it is that's causing these feelings. Don't give in to that. Be cautious, but don't be afraid. Don't be in a big hurry either. Work hard, but be patient. Even when you know exactly what it is that you want to achieve, it can still take you a lifetime to actually get there. Don't expect to achieve your goals in one go. You'll only set yourself up for disappointment that way. No one can go up a steep cliff edge in one giant leap. Take the gentle slope instead and climb it one step at a time. Treat it like an endurance sport. Divide your grand, ambitious goal into manageable chunks. divided into small, short-term sub-goals that you can work on every day, preferably even small enough to accomplish in one day. That way you can celebrate every day that you achieved that day's goal for the rest of your life. And if you go for it and try hard, you really cannot fail. Ambition is never a carefully laid out plan, it's a complex collection of options and decisions in your unpredictable daily life. You can make things easier and more pleasant by doing it together, supporting each other, and finding a mentor. Make use of the knowledge, the insights and the networks of the academic staff, and if needed, look for help elsewhere. The world is waiting for you with open arms. There's one more subject I need to briefly address, however. Unfortunately, those in control will often give in to the temptation to use technology in harmful ways. In past weeks, The Guardian and other newspapers have published major revelations brought to the light thanks to Edward Snowden about the unconstitutional mass surveillance carried out by the United States government. And the Dutch government just doesn't seem to be interested in these massive human rights violations. As a result of the evolution of technology, which has become part of our lives in very intimate ways, the ethical questions that arise with that situation have become more important than ever as well. This too presents a special task for you. The university will change your life and only you can decide in what ways, but even more importantly, you now have a once-in-a-lifetime opportunity to fill your backpacks with knowledge, insights, a larger network and new friends, everything you need in order to permanently become a major asset to society and change or contribute to the lives of many, many people. The world is at your feet, the university is at your service, if you serve them as well. And there's the promise of an amazing meal awaiting for you. I wish you all a lot of fun, curiosity and ambition for all your college years and of course the years that will follow. But most of all, bon appétit.
Thank you, Mr. Mekic, for this motivating and inspiring speech. If following your ambitions affects and inspires other people, you might not only get compliments and recognition, you might also be rewarded officially. Director Magnificus will announce the best bachelor's lecturer and master's lecturer in a moment, and has also another announcement. So let's not linger. I'd like to invite Professor Hans van Duin to the stage for his announcement.
Right. Yeah, so there are 3 announcements, so 2 awards and something else. And before I turn to the educational awards, I would like to draw your attention to the reorganization of our campus. Because the motto of today, Appetite for Ambition, perfectly describes our ambition to build an open campus in which cooperation and interaction are embedded in the bricks and the concrete themselves. It's an ambition that requires a long-term vision. Last year, as you all know, we opened Meta Forum, the focal point of our campus, and we are now constructing a new building. Here it is, at the end of the groene lopen, the green carpet. It's the shared home of applied physics and electrical engineering. And it needs a name, and I'm going to announce the name in a moment. It has taken us a while to choose a name for it, because there were lots of candidates. But I think we finally opted for a name that says it all. And before I give it away, it's by the way a name that has a meaning in applied mathematics. in electromagnetism, and also in physics. And so I let the students guess. So may I have it here, okay. You see, here is a surface, a smooth surface with an orientation. And here n is a unit vector, normal to the surface. And J could be a magnetic field, or it could a vector with a physical meaning describing transport of heat or particles or mass. And now we are considering this integral. Okay, you take the normal component of J and you integrate it over the surface. What is this called? Flux, right. That's the name of the new building. So it's nice to have a room in Flux 5012, something like that. That's what's going to happen. Congratulations to all the new residents. I think the new name brings the building one little step closer. Okay, now the educational awards, and these goes to the best lecturer in the bachelor programs and in the master programs. And good education should be rewarded, and good lecturers deserve to be put in the spotlight. And it's a tradition at our university that we do this during the opening of the academic year. And the procedure was as follows, so it's all in the hands of students. Students nominated one lecturer for each program, bachelor, master. And the nominations were then assessed by a jury consisting of representatives from the study associations, the SRO, the Student Advisory Body. So it's all in the hands of the students, and Karin Ali and myself are just being present to see that everything went well, offering guidance. The jury members had the extremely difficult, most impossible task of selecting winners from among the outstanding lecturers who were nominating. And I start with the bachelor, and I start with the nominees, and I do this in alphabetic order, and then in a moment I will announce the winner. So for the bachelors, the nominees were Rudy Becker, Mark de Berg, Camilla van den Boom, Onno Boksma, Sept Brussaert, Remco Dijkman, good old Frans Martens, Bert Meijer, Kees Omens, Ramiro Serra, and finally Jacob Voorthuis. So those were the nominees. And ladies and gentlemen, I won't keep you in suspense. The best bachelor lecturer at Eindhoven University of Technology in the year 2013 is Sept Brussaert. Sept. So Sept is from the Department of Applied Physics, where he works in the Coherence and Quantum Technology group. Okay, Sept gives the lecture, the physics preview class. It's a first year lecture, I suppose. Yeah. Okay, now I'm quoting now from the jury report. Every year Sept brings someone in to speak about gliders. That may sound surprising, but Sept is passionate about gliding, and he knows it's an excellent way to teach aerodynamics. For quantum physics, he uses short clicker questions to test the students' quantum intuition. And because the groups are limited to 30 students, contact with the lecturer is very direct. Sept is always open to discussion and to student input during classes. When the spatial structure of hydrogen orbitals came up, he produced three-dimensional glasses. And he screened the movie Down the Rabbit Hole to illustrate a number of important quantum effects. And on top of all that, Sept also chairs the faculty council, faculteitsraad. Sept, congratulations. This is another picture. Dit voor jou. Okay. We now move on to the best master lecturer. And again, we have nominees and then a winner. In fact, they're all winners, but a happy one. Okay. The first is Peter Baltes, Luc Florac, Maurice Hemels, Caroline Hummels, Leon Kamp, Yvonne de Kort, Hans Kuipers, Mark Pelletier, Tarkan Tan, and again finally Tim Willemsen. And so those were the nominees, and the winner, ladies and gentlemen, the best master's lecturer at Eindhoven University in the year 2013 is Peter Baltes. Peter. Gefeliciteerd.
Hartstikke bedankt.
Ja, ik ga even daar zitten. Kunnen de mensen hier zien? Een foto maken. Actually, Peter and I were in, what was it called? We were in January in Canada. And it was minus 48 degrees. It was unbelievably cold. Anyway, it has nothing to do with the award. Peter, by the way, is from the Department of Electrical Engineering, where he heads the Mixed Signal Microelectronics group. Anyways, Peter, this is what the jury had to say. Peter is very dedicated. If there is something he can do to improve the quality of the lectures, he does it right away. Even though he is extremely busy, he holds questions and answers sessions for students in his office and through Skype. He encourages students to come to these sessions in groups so they can get to know each other better and help each other. Peter even organized a field trip one could follow on Skype. His slides are filled with jokes to keep the students alert. He uses clickers during his classes to get directly feedback from the students if something is unclear. And then he repeats the explanation. Peter enjoys teaching very much and conveys that to the students. He is described as enthusiastic, intelligent and a bit crazy. But I guess you're a bit crazy for a good reason. Peter, I think it's a particular honor that you get an award for being a bit crazy, but nevertheless, congratulations. Okay. Peter just told me that he's not a head of that section, but he works in that section. The head is Arthur van Ruurmond. Excuse me, Arthur. Ladies and gentlemen, it's about time that we go to the reception. We are approaching the end of the official part of this academic session. But before I conclude, I want to draw your attention to two events. One from the past and one in the future. May I have that picture here? Yes, this is from the past. In June, the end of June, we had the World Cup Robo-football here in Eindhoven, as you all know. The Robo-Cup team, and part of them are behind me on the screen with the robots. They did a fantastic, with René van der Molengraaf, by the way, as captain. They did a fantastic job, both as organizers and as engineers. Thousands of people came to Eindhoven, really incredible amount of people, even Her Majesty Queen Maxima. And the RoboCup team, as a team itself, ended up as vice world champion. Guys, I don't know if you're out there, but our sincere thanks and thank you and congratulations. Then the future, as we speak, a group of our honor students, really students through all disciplines, but honor students, that group is in Australia. These students designed and constructed Stella. And Stella is not a woman, but Stella is a 4-person family car. And the students will drive Stella in the solar race from North to South Australia, right through that gigantic country, just using solar energy. Dick, how about that? No petrol. That's the future. Anyway, they will show us how to do it, and they can do it, and it's a car with 4 people in it. We saw it here, we had it here on campus. It's amazing. They also have a license, so they can drive on the roads here in the Netherlands. Anyway, the race takes place in October, so in a couple of weeks, and they want to greet you from down under.
Now, this is Solo Team Eindhoven from Australia. We are busy setting up our camp for our chip up. During our chip up, we will explore the routes we will drive during the World Solo Challenge in October. In October, we are, of course, making our university proud. This will be an amazing year for us, and we hope this will also be an amazing year for the university. So, hi from Australia.
Okay, we conclude with a few words of thanks. First of all, I would like to express my gratitude to our Master of Ceremonies, Khadija, and her team for organizing this academic gathering and the party tonight's festivities. You've done a marvelous job, and your hard work really has paid off. Thank you very much. And I would also like to thank Dick Benschop for coming to Eindhoven and for your fascinating, not only fascinating, but also personal story. I'm sure this is highly appreciated, in particular by our students. And of course, many thanks to Danny Makic for his inspiring speech. Appetite for ambition, indeed, Danny. So before I proceed to the opening, I have to hit that button. I would like to invite you to the reception in Metaforum, and as always there are 2 options. There is downstairs is a noisy gathering, and upstairs is a quiet gathering, and I will be at 2 places. Thank you all for being with us. Time now for the official opening of the academic year 2013-14. So let's count down, okay? 5, 4, 3, 2, 1, 0.
Why letting go the lesser more? Tonight eternity's an open door. Don't ever stop doing the things you do. Don't go. From Pour some, we sing to divinity.